Good afternoon, everyone. I think an important announcement. I can already see some people with headphones. If you want to have the perfect sound, I've been told there are headphones, so there is no disruption from voices, noises around. But I assume in the front row you can hear us clearly. Also in the back row. Perfect. So we wait for a few more seconds for people to sit down, come to us, and then we're going to start. So a very warm welcome from my side to this session with Oliver Zeidler. My name is Stefan Ludwig. I'm partner at Deloitte, leading the Sports Business Group and also being responsible for our partnership with Team Germany and Team Germany Paralympics. Today I have Oliver with me. He's part of Team Germany, but at the same time, he's my colleague at Deloitte. Maybe to get an impression of how many people know Oliver and what they know about Oliver, I would like to ask you to raise your hand on 2 or 3 questions. Who knows Oliver Zeidler? If you may raise your hand. Who knows his story before he became a rower? All right. So we'll give you some insight because Oliver Zeidler, who is here with us, is one of the most successful athletes in Germany right now. He is triple world champion, double European champion, 3 times winner of the Henley Royal Regatta, man of the year in rowing. I don't know what the exact title is. And currently already qualified for the Olympic Games in Paris 2024. But 8 years ago, Oliver was a high-performance swimmer and not a rower. Maybe take us in that time period. What happened and why did you decide to skip swimming? And I think you were also quite successful. You were part of the national team. I think you were at the under-21 or under-23 championships with the national team. But what happened at the age of, what was that, 19?
Yeah, it was in the age of 19, and it was a very interesting time. So I finished school, did my maturity exam, and then I also developed pretty well in the year of 2018, where I also went to the Junior European Championships as a swimmer, became second there with the relay. And if I had done the same step in the next year, I had gone to the Olympic Games. But then it was a bit challenging because I also wanted to start with working. So I started at Deloitte, did my traineeship there, and continued swimming as well. But I really, it was pretty quick when I realized that this will maybe not work out so well. So I continued, also supported my team members in swimming because we had a really, really cool training group that time in Munich and very successful. And in the end, 3 of the guys I trained with went to the Olympics, so this was a huge success already. And I basically did an Olympic preparation camp with them and stuff, so I did the whole thing, but I wasn't able to qualify for the games in Rio de Janeiro. And yeah, it was a dream that didn't come true at that point, so I already knew that a lot of people from my team will also retire then. And without the team spirit behind it, there was not the fun left, what I always liked about swimming, and that's why I also continued that long with swimming. And yeah, I retired as well. After 1 month, I really realized that I'm not really healthy, not really fit, and there's something still burning inside me for sports, so I needed a new challenge. And that's how I stepped in the footprints of my family members They were all rowers, so not my mom, but all around them were actually rowers. So it was a natural way maybe. And yeah, I found a new challenge with rowing, and
it's basically a startup you created.
Yeah, exactly.
And very innovative approach. I mean, I don't know how many. Have you ever checked whether there are many athletes like you who switched in the age of 18, 19, 20 to a different sport?
So from 16 to 18, it's pretty common. Also from swimming to rowing, because these are both water sports, and you can bring a lot from swimming to the rowing, like the water feeling. The training is pretty similar, and your body is not like already weakened from all the heavy lifting and stuff. But because as a swimmer, you don't do that. Yeah. So that's pretty common, but I was already a bit late, I would say. In the 20s, it's becoming a bit late, and also a lot harder, of course, to step into the really high notes of rowing.
And in the media, it's often referred to as a father-son project. Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, so when I started rowing, my grandpa was coaching my sister pretty successfully. She became a junior vice world champion just 3 years after she started, but she was also younger than me. And he was occupied with my sister at that time. And yeah, so I asked my dad, he was also a successful rower, if he could teach me how to row, because I was just curious to learn it finally, because before, always when my grandpa or my dad told me that I should sit in a boat, I was like, yeah, okay, I will try it, but after 3 strokes, I capsized and felt more comfortable in the water as a swimmer than on the water. So I took it more seriously, and yeah, my dad did a very good job, really commented every stroke at the beginning, and we really figured it out how to make the boat run, and it was really fun.
And that was in 2017?
Yes, exactly.
And then in 2019, it was one of the most successful years for you, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. So I stepped up pretty quickly, I would say. So in 2017, in the year where I started rowing competitively, I only did 2 races, and I medaled in all 2 of them, so in all the 2 regattas. Then in 2018, first of all, I missed the single spot, so I didn't qualify for the single. Then I did all the World Cups, medaled in every World Cup there, so it was a really crazy story, and nobody really believed what was happening there. Because I remember pretty well at my first World Cup race, I was leading the world champion for 1,500 meters, and everyone was talking about this crazy German with the weirdest technique of them all in the field, but still ahead of the field. It was a magical moment, as a lot of people told me afterwards. And that's something I really missed in swimming, because that's the moment where I realized that I can really become one of the best in the world in rowing. And yeah, in 2019, it was time for that. In the World Championships final, I won the title just, I think it was 300ths of a second, so it was one of the closest and really most interesting rowing races to watch. So if you have not been interested into rowing yet, you should definitely watch the 2019 men's single sculls final in Linz, because that's really that's a pretty good race, because there we have 5 boats really going head to head to the finish line, and then in the end you're wondering who won, and luckily it was me on that day, and yeah, crowning myself the best rower in the world just 2.5 years after I started.
And the title of our session today is the impact of innovation on athletes. Just looking at that time period of 2 years, and I understand your father is a former rower, he's a coach, he's very experienced, but how innovative did you have to be in order to make up for 10 years of experience from other rowers?
Yeah. So first of all, that's what I have to say, because I already brought a very solid base with my swimming, of course. So it's like we didn't really start from scratch. Of course, in rowing, yes, but not in a sportive area. If I had been a couch potato before and then started to row, this had never worked out. Yeah. But yeah, we needed to be very innovative, because we started, as you said, very late, and I wanted to go to the Olympics pretty quickly after I started with rowing. So, and I was also a bit keen to tell the people that it's actually my goal to go to the Olympics. So I was very careful in telling my friends as well, because yeah, it's rather unusual. But yeah, as I said before, I was lucky that I had my dad with me, who really was into the project. He really commented every stroke at the beginning, so I could really improve from stroke to stroke. And this really one-to-one coaching was something what's really rare in the world of rowing, if not unique. That was one thing for sure. And then my water feeling I brought from swimming was also very beneficial, because I was really, my dad is still calling me a diva, because I really feel the slightest difference in pitching or height difference in my boat. If something is changing, he needs to measure it again, and then, oh shit, he's right again. So that's also something what I kept with me and what was really good, of course.
And I read an interesting quote in the book that was recently published about your story, from, I think, a former coach. And he said, you know, always try new ideas, measure them, test them, and then, you know, decide to go further or not. Is that an underlying principle? And then how can you, you know, differentiate between, is it really the case that you test one thing and then see the outcome?
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty much at the beginning how it worked. For example, I needed to decide what kind of boat shape I wanted. So we just asked the boat manufacturer to provide a few boats so I can test it and see what's the difference between them. Then the same with the blade shapes. That's very, I have a pretty unique blade shape. If you would watch a rowing race, I think I'm the only one who's rowing with this kind of blade shape. But for me, it worked best at the beginning, and it's still the case. So I decided to go with that. So it's really testing and then evaluating the results. So in the end, in rowing, it's always about passing the finish line first, or going for the 2K in the fastest possible time. And that's what we just measured in training, and we found out the perfect combination for me. And then we decided,
Did you, in the beginning, when you came up with your father with this project, did you set yourself milestones where, in case of not being successful, you would have stopped or not continued the road, or were you so designated or determined?
So I think in the beginning it was really nothing to lose. So I just had fun making a bit of trouble in the world of rowing. That's really how I went to the regattas. I really had nothing to lose. It was very unprofessional how I trained as well. So I think I still trained in 2018 a lot less than I trained as a swimmer before. So it was really more a hobby. And I enjoyed the progress, because it was really, when I went on the water, there was every time, in every training, I could feel improvement. I could see improvement on the clock and stuff. So it was really, engaging for me. And that's why I hadn't had real milestones. But of course, the big dream about everything was still the Olympics. I wanted to go there. And it was just like challenging the rules of the sport maybe a bit, and then see if it's possible.
You already made it to the games?
Yeah.
But that was probably also one of your biggest disappointments? Or how would you consider that? Because
I would say so.
Maybe give us the background, what happened at the games in Tokyo.
So as the background, in 2019, as you said, I became world champion. In 2020, we had the COVID pandemic, so not a very easy year for us athletes, especially if you are qualified for the games, and then suddenly the games are postponed. So you as an athlete, you need to be really into it all the time, and you never should think like starting, they will be postponed for sure or something, because then you miss the last percent what's necessary in training. But this also makes it a lot harder if it's then the case that it's postponed. You need to wait for one more year. So this was a tough year. In 2021, the Olympic year then, started very, very successfully. Besides the last World Cup, I think I won all the races in that year. So I was the clear favorite for the gold medal in Tokyo. We boarded the train, were flying to Tokyo, had these a bit weird games, I would say, without spectators, empty grandstands, a lot of restrictions regarding the pandemic. And yeah, in the end, on the semi-final day, I unfortunately had by far the worst race of the whole season, and I didn't qualify for the final then. And then seeing myself in the B final instead of the A final was very, very tough. So I have to say, it was one of the rare moments where at a regatta where I was actually not in the A final. So and that at the most important race or the most meaningful for me as well was a tough call.
What did you take as a learning from that for the years to come then?
Well, first of all, I stepped a bit back from the sport because I really needed some time to rest and also like
work at Deloitte.
Work at Deloitte, getting my shit together, exactly. Seeing that the life has more to offer than just sports. But in the end, I decided to try it once more. I really wanted to have the Olympic Games I was already always wishing for, which will hopefully now happen in Paris. And then I started to analyze the race of Tokyo, seeing what went wrong there, what we should do better, together with my dad. So I also brought him back in the team, so engaged in the whole project. And we said, we will do it for 3 more years. It's a short cycle now. And we will show everyone that we can do better. And yeah, that's how we continued and stepped up again, I would say. And now I'm for sure the more mature rower. I'm technically better. And I think I grew with this upset. And without this upset from Tokyo, I hadn't developed that good, I would say, because it really shows you how important sport is for you on one hand side, but also how hard it is to be beaten by others, which hadn't beaten you for years. And to avoid that for the future, you are really keen to work harder, and making the steps in the right direction.
I mean, innovation on the training side, on the performance side, on the way things are organized is one part. The other part is the equipment. You already said something about the special shape. Can you maybe take us a little bit more into the technology of a rowing boat? What's so important for you?
So it's very important to have the best possible equipment, of course. When you're at the start line at a World Championship and at Olympic Games, you have athletes that are kind of all in the same seconds. Let's say it's seconds, so 2 seconds. And sometimes it's the material what decides. Sometimes it's the mental aspect. It's in most cases it's not like the physical part. And there is where it counts that you also have the best material, of course. And these 14-kilogram boats, it should really have 14. Okay. 14-kilogram boat.
What's your weight? So
my weight is 106, 7 at the moment. I hope I get a bit down towards the Olympics, but that's another story. And yeah, it should really have 14 kilos on the day then, because you don't want to carry 100 gram more with you over the course. And then it's a very individual equipment, I would say. You can really order the boat as you want it. You really work closely together with the boat manufacturer to really get everything set in the way you want it. Then you give some feedback. For example, the fin is too long because you catch leaves in training, or seaweed at a regatta. That's really the worst case what's possible. That's why you try to adapt this and that and try to change the shape even. If you're racing in a 6-lane race, so just a straight line, you want a fin that really bolts the boat into the line and really straight. But for example, if you want to do a head race, so in a river where you need to go around.
Henley is something like that, is it?
No, it's still a straight lane, but sometimes we do head races, especially at the beginning of the year. And if you want to turn a boat with such a fin, then it's really a pain, and it's not really beneficial for the boat speed to do that. So you need to adapt on your needs, and you can set up the boat pretty much as you want it, as I said. So, and that's important, that you know what you want, that you test it out, what works for you, and that's how I do it as well.
I think you have said you are one of the few, or probably the only world-class rower who is an amateur. You still work at Deloitte 70% of your time during normal training sessions. You told me that now you're fully 100% concentrating on the preparation for the Paris Games. How do you handle that, and what's the role of Deloitte in that game?
Yeah. So first of all, it's really about time management. That's what I learned pretty early. So when I was at school, I spent a lot of time in Munich. My school was not in Munich, so I basically already then had a 12 to 14 hours day because I needed to train before the school, then I went to school, then I went back to training afterwards. So I was really used to it, to do it like that. And that, of course, helps me a lot now handling the rowing training with the job. So it's still early morning training, then going to the office or doing home office, and then afternoon a second session. That's a normal work/training day for me. And yeah, I'm very happy that I found an employer with Deloitte that supports me on my way, who is always giving me some extra holidays if I need it for training camp, for example, or for regattas. And yeah, I'm really, really lucky with my bosses as well, because they were really always very, very into it and told me that I should use my holidays for real holidays and not for training camps and stuff. So it's a very, very nice environment to be in. And in the end, all the chances I have after my career, because of the now 9 years of work experience I have already, that's completely different to other athletes who really concentrate their whole life in sport and then want to start a career after the sport career. It gives me a lot more flexibility, a lot more confidence about my future, and even if I would be injured now, I would have a backup with Deloitte, so I wouldn't fall in a hole and don't know what to do. I'm really set, I would say, and that's what helps me as well for my path towards the Olympics and afterwards as well.
We are glad to have you, and you know you have one of the biggest fan communities with the 12,000 German Deloitte people. But there's also, since we have started our top partnership with the IOC and the IPC 2 years ago, there's also a Team Deloitte. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was very interesting because when they started the collaboration with the IOC, so we worked together before, you as a national partner of the German Olympic Committee, and where it came up that Deloitte will become partner of the International Olympic Committee, it was really, really interesting to see how many athletes we actually have in our rows. And we, for example, only in rowing, I think it's 7 athletes we have. I know all of them from the international regattas, and yeah, suddenly I realized, oh, we are colleagues as well. So
and many of them are medalists at World Championships, so they're not just rowing, but they are high-performance athletes.
Yeah, of course. So it's a really, really precious team, I would say, we have there. I think if we would have 2 guys more, we could easily fill an 8 and be competitive even at the Olympic level, so it's really awesome.
Yeah, that's probably an idea, to have a Deloitte team at the Olympic Games. Yeah. Speaking about the next games, Paris 2024, you had your biggest upset in Tokyo. You just told us. What's your ambition for Paris? It's 128 days.
Yeah. So it's pretty close, as you said. I'm into training. As you already mentioned, I'm now really focusing on my preparation for the games, so I'm currently not working. Also thanks to Deloitte, that's possible. And yeah, my ambition is to bring a medal home this time. And that's why I'm working every day to make that possible. Let's see how it works. I will have the first races in 2 weeks' time. Then I will check out the international competition there. Let's see how the others trained over the winter. I can say that I trained very well. I had a really, really good winter. I stayed healthy, could train all winter long. What is also important to build the base. My base is solid now, and now I need to peak towards Paris.
We are all excited about that. We have a few minutes left. I would like to open it for the floor. Do you have any questions for Oliver, our single scull rower?
Yeah, shy.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Yeah. So on one hand side, it's a lot about feeling, because in the end, I need to feel comfortable. And if there's like 5% missing, I can't really bring the 100% because I'm concentrating on, something doesn't feel wrong. But the main decision is actually on data. So we do a lot of measurements, also with force curves and stuff, and seeing how the boat rolls in the directions, how it's staying the most stable way, how it's running the flattest way, so you don't have any disturbing movements in the movement. And yeah, so we are really data-driven, I would say, when it comes to these decisions. We are not running these measurements every session. We have special weeks where we really do these measurements. So we add all the equipment to the boat, what's necessary to really have proper data. And then we analyze it, change something, test a lot in the week. But after the week, we set the boat in the way we measured it is the best way. And then we leave it like that until the next week we do the measurements. Yeah.
Association? Sorry.
Did you understand it?
Excuse me?
Maybe the micro?
With whom do you do the testing? So with the university or your club or by yourself or the manufacturer?
Oh yeah, it's a biomechanician who comes there. She was specialized, that's a funny story, she was specialized in swimming, but then went into rowing, so a bit like me. And she's one of the 2 best biomechanics for rowing sport, actually. And I work with her to really have the best data and the best consultations, I would say, possible. Yeah.
Any more questions? Then I have a last one. When is your first race day at the Olympic Games? I'm sure you know.
The first race day must be the 26th, actually, the 26th of July.
Oh, so most likely you will not go to the opening ceremony then, because I think it's on the same day, isn't it?
It depends. If I qualify directly for the quarterfinals, I would have 2 days off.
Okay.
And as we stay in the village for the first days, it might be possible to at least go to the River Seine and watch a bit of the opening ceremony. But I will most likely not be in the crowd of German athletes walking or driving. I don't know how they do it.
Riding a boat? Yeah, riding on a boat?
Yeah, let's see. But it would be cool to see it, because that's also something I missed at Tokyo, of course.
Oliver, thank you very much for your insights. We wish you the very best.
Thank you.
At least all the German ones, maybe some other ones who are now excited about Oliver's story. Thanks a lot, and thank you for coming and listening to us.
Thank you.